he didn't just drown, he was erased. Just minutes before his mysterious death, Malcolm-Jamal Warner made a chilling phone call, whispering that he was being watched. Now, after years of silence, his mother Pamela Warner is finally speaking out. Was it truly an accident, or was Malcolm silenced for uncovering secrets too dangerous to share? What he discovered could have brought down powerful figures, and now, he's gone. This is the story they didn't want you to hear. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear could change everything you thought you knew. The sudden death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner didn't just shock Hollywood, it shattered his fans around the world. Officially, it was ruled a drowning. But beneath the surface, disturbing questions have begun to emerge. His mother, Pamela Warner, is no longer staying silent. And once you hear what she's revealing, you won't be able to ignore the truth any longer. This exclusive investigation unravels the chilling timeline leading up to Malcolm's final hours, cryptic warnings he shared, a growing sense he was being followed, and an eerie silence from those closest to him. Was he on the verge of exposing something powerful? Something dangerous enough to get him silenced? We'll hear from insiders, close friends, and those in Hollywood who are finally ready to talk. The truth has been buried long enough, now it's time to dig it up. This story is messy, heartbreaking, and absolutely explosive. What Malcolm-Jamal Warner may have uncovered could have cost him everything, even his life. The names involved, the secrets he carried, and the powerful forces possibly working against him will leave you speechless. Just days before his death, those close to him described him as healthy, focused, and at peace, finally embracing a new chapter. At 54, he was mentoring young actors, quietly producing behind the scenes, and, most shocking of all, preparing a tell-all memoir that insiders say would have rocked the entertainment world to its core. Though always private, Malcolm had been working silently on multiple projects, and one of them, sources reveal, was designed to expose the darkest corners of the industry. Toxic power games, manipulation, and decades of abuse, even hidden stories from his years on The Cosby Show. He was collecting everything, said one longtime friend who chose to remain anonymous. He had receipts. He told me straight up, if anything happens to me, this wasn't an accident. So what changed? What turned his calm into chaos? According to several close associates, Malcolm's energy shifted just 1 week before his death, and that's when the paranoia began. He felt watched. Hunted. Silenced. And now, the question remains, who wanted him gone? He allegedly mentioned feeling like he was being followed to his mother, Pamela Warner. He unexpectedly canceled 2 interviews, according to another buddy, claiming that he needed time to sort things out, whatever that meant. The message Malcolm allegedly left on a friend's phone 48 hours before he was discovered dead is possibly the most terrifying of all. He spoke in a trembling, low, serious voice. According to reports, the message read, "Hey, something's off. They're watching me. I'm not sure who I can trust anymore. It wasn't my fault if something were to happen to me. Don't listen to what they say." At first, those close to him brushed it off. Perhaps he was under stress. Perhaps it was simply nervousness. Now, however, nobody is discounting anything because of his unexplained death. This is when it becomes even more bizarre. It was meant to be a tranquil retreat. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was reportedly spending time at a luxury lakefront home outside of Los Angeles, which he frequently went to escape the bustle of Hollywood. When he was engaged on personal projects, he would often retreat there. However, the events of that evening have prompted far more questions than they have addressed. At first, authorities said he drowned by accident. It was a terrible accident with no indications of foul play, forced entrance, or injuries. This is where it becomes strange, though. Malcolm could swim very well. He practiced frequently. Indeed, according to pals, he frequently swam laps as a stress reliever. How, then, can someone so robust and healthy suddenly perish in placid waters? And then there's the issue of the 911 call, or rather, the one that never happened. According to reports, it took 3 hours from the time he was last seen alive until emergency personnel were called. With whom was he there? What caused the wait? And why haven't officials made the entire call's audio available? Stranger still, the police's lone statement was brief and ambiguous. No indication of difficulty. Pending toxicology, the investigation was closed. However, the toxicological report has yet to be released to the public. Let's now introduce Malcolm's mother, Pamela Warner. Family insiders claim that Pamela has been enraged behind closed doors. When she was informed that she would not be permitted to see her son's body, she allegedly wanted a private autopsy, which immediately sparked concerns. According to people close to Pamela, the post-mortem showed neck trauma and bruising around the ribcage. But she's not going to let that happen, a family insider revealed. Pamela is certain that her son was singled out. And what do you know? Many fans are, too. As soon as the news surfaced, theories went viral on the internet. Within hours, justice for Malcolm gained popularity, and followers began examining his most recent, frequently cryptic, social media messages. "You can't be silent forever," one post said. "The truth can wriggle its way out." "The walls are closing in," said another. Did he have a project in mind, and these were just lyrics or metaphors? Were they something else? A call for assistance? The most terrifying aspect, though, comes next. A number of significant figures in Malcolm's life have reportedly stopped speaking out, and at least one former Cosby Show cast member has reportedly declined to make public remarks. Why? Behind the charismatic smile, strong acting, and understated Hollywood demeanor, Malcolm-Jamal Warner was subtly constructing something explosive. Malcolm had been collecting information for what many now consider to be a groundbreaking initiative called Behind the Curtain, according to several close sources. According to reports, the project was a manuscript or documentary series that focused on his own experiences working in the field. However, it didn't end there. Interviews, court records, and first-hand recollections of what actually transpires behind closed doors in the realm of television monarchy were reportedly included. Malcolm wasn't upset, according to a source with knowledge of the project. He was intent. He had no intention of causing trouble. He desired the truth to be known. His goal was to liberate those who were still bound by the system. This is where the connections begin to form. Bill Cosby's unsettling behavior in recent years has severely damaged the Cosby Show's reputation. Despite the fact that several cast members disassociated themselves from the incident, Malcolm stayed largely silent and, according to a journalist who spoke with him in late 2024, alluded to a darker side of himself that had not yet surfaced. "He informed me. People's knowledge is merely the beginning. People are scared to speak so much more, but I'm no longer scared." Abruptly, he disappears. Let's now discuss who might have stood to lose something. According to certain theorists and supporters, his death wasn't a random occurrence. According to reports, Malcolm was getting ready to appear at a secret summit with entertainment industry whistleblowers, including at least one well-known victim who was purportedly ready to provide names in a court case involving abuse that had occurred for decades. Ring. Shortly following Malcolm's passing, this summit was called off. This is where the twist lies. Since then, documents from his storage unit have vanished. An unnamed employee claims that security footage from that day conveniently malfunctioned, hard drives were taken out, and files were erased. Is it a coincidence or a plot? Malcolm was preparing to make reference to the exploitation of young black actors, the manipulation of family sitcoms, and a high-level network executive who allegedly attempted to silence him years ago when he first began speaking out about inequality, according to another insider who claims to have seen early drafts of Malcolm's expose. According to the insider, he was getting too close and knew too much. The careers of huge, wealthy, influential, and connected people would have been blown away if this had gone public. At that point, you have to pause and consider whether Malcolm's death was an accident. Or did it serve as a warning? But wait, there's more to come. Fans waited for days after the unexpected death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Waited for an explanation, for a statement, for a reason to think this wasn't as bad as it seemed. However, silence persisted until Malcolm's mother and toughest guardian, Pamela Warner, broke it with a statement that shocked the public. "My son did not die by accident," Pamela claimed in a statement issued through her family lawyer. "I disagree with the narrative that is being promoted. There are still questions, and I won't give up until I have the answers." She went on to say that she thought her son was being singled out because of what he knew and that she had noticed injuries on Malcolm's body that didn't fit the official explanation. And don't assume that sounds like a sad mother looking for purpose. Because everyone in her immediate vicinity is saying the same thing. His childhood closest friend, his cousin, and even a former cast member have all expressed skepticism. According to one acquaintance who wished to remain anonymous, Pamela is strong, but what she's going through isn't grief, it's war. That didn't feel like the correct funeral. The funeral for Malcolm was private. Extremely personal. Insider sources characterized the atmosphere as tense, despite the fact that only a select few were permitted to attend and the media were totally excluded. The statement, "It didn't feel like a farewell," implied that something was being concealed. This is where things start to become really strange. Malcolm's old Los Angeles residence was reportedly broken into 2 days after the funeral. Sources close to Pamela claim that while some files, journals, and electronics were gone, nothing of great worth was taken. The intruder disappeared without taking any valuables or touching any cash. Security video was deleted. And according to Pamela, this was not your typical break-in. They had a search in mind. According to reports, she said to a friend, "They don't want his story told." The threats followed. Anonymous messages, odd phone calls, emails from untraceable sites, and even burner accounts sending one spooky message into the direct messages of well-known friends and associates started to reach those close to the family. Put it down. Give him some time to relax. Don't delve too far. What's happening? Was Malcolm's legacy really being buried? Or do we see a strong institution hiding its tracks? Pamela hasn't given up, though. A private investigation team with connections to former federal agents has apparently been engaged by her. She's reportedly in possession of a digital archive her son left behind, which includes password-protected documents he warned her not to view unless something happened to him, and she's restored contact with journalists Malcolm trusted. She has not yet opened them, according to sources, but she intends to do so in public. Will we ever truly know what Malcolm was going to reveal, or may the truth be hidden inside? After the passing of a well-liked television personality, particularly one as legendary as Malcolm-Jamal Warner, one could anticipate a flood of affection and tribute. His portrayal of Theo Huxtable was more than just a part, after all. For many years, it was a part of American culture. On television, he contributed to the definition of a generation of young black males. Oddly enough, though, that tribute never materialized. There were a few generic remarks here and there, a brief Instagram post, and a 2-line tweet, but there were notably no significant tributes from prominent Hollywood personalities and networks who once made their careers off of The Cosby Show's history. "Why is no one talking about Malcolm?" a fan said. There were no specials, memorial shows, or even a dignified farewell from the studio that made him famous. There's a problem. Furthermore, that quiet is more powerful than any eulogy. A list of those who have chosen to remain silent and the reasons behind it. A number of important individuals who collaborated with Malcolm, such as producers, directors, and former co-stars, have declined to make public statements. According to sources, some people just stopped talking to the media, while others were told by legal teams to refrain from doing so. However, why? What fears do they have? "This reminds me of what happens when there's a larger power at play," said one entertainment journalist with over 20 years of experience covering the business. The terror is palpable. People want to speak up, but they're afraid of being the next to do so. At least 2 performers, both of whom were involved with The Cosby Show, were getting ready to do interviews when they abruptly canceled without providing an explanation, according to hacked direct messages and forum discussion. "I can't risk it," one allegedly said to a pal. I have a family. What does that indicate? That this might be far more significant than Malcolm. The outcry from the public starts. Supporters have not been quiet. They've actually become louder. For days, hashtags such as Bakur Protect Pamela Warner, Acra Probe Malcolm Warner, and Striker Justice for Malcolm have been popular on Reddit, TikTok, and Twitter. Numerous films, TikTok threads, and breakdowns have been released by creators on various platforms. Many questioning the legit tale and calling out mainstream media for barely covering his death. One viral video with over 3 million views asked, how does someone with many years of cultural impact get much less coverage than a reality star's scandal? Are we actually imagined to consider this wasn't intentional? Enthusiasts are actually calling for an unbiased investigation, and numerous petitions are circulating online worrying the LAPD reopen the case, citing Pamela Warner's non-public autopsy effects and the missing toxicology file. After which got here the whispers. Behind the curtain, things are transferring. Whispers from insiders trace that more people have become geared up to speak out, such as a former production assistant from the Cosby Technology who allegedly witnessed irrelevant behavior at some stage in filming and has been keeping lower back for decades. In keeping with one anonymous source, Malcolm wasn't by myself in what he knew. Others understand, too. However, his demise may additionally have been the cause that ultimately opens the floodgates. This could come to be one of the most disruptive Hollywood unravelings since the Weinstein scandal. And all of it started out with a drowning no person believes Jamal. Clever, soulful, grounded, and deeply human. His function as Theo Huxtable changed into one of the first representations of a younger black male on television that wasn't rooted in trauma or stereotypes. He gave humans hope. He gave young men a person they might see themselves in. But at the back of that powerful on-screen presence was a man of intensity, motive, and quiet resistance. He mentored younger artists. He spoke fact without screaming. He lived with integrity. And it's becoming painfully clear he may additionally have died because of it. The questions that also haunt us. Why turned into Malcolm's body reportedly covered in bruises inconsistent with drowning? Why became there a 3-hour put-off in calling emergency services? Why become Pamela Warner denied get right of entry to her son's body before the post-mortem? Why has the toxicology report nonetheless not been launched to the general public? Why are Fundamental Studios and former co-stars staying silent? Why did someone destroy into his apartment days after his death and take files, now not valuables? Why did Malcolm feel he was being watched, observed, and centered just days before his mysterious drowning? And sooner or later, what became Malcolm attempting to inform us? What story was he making ready to expose? And who was inclined to go this far to ensure it by no means noticed the light of day? A mother's combat, a legacy at danger. Pamela Warner refuses to permit her son's dying be every other bloodless case swept below the rug. She's combating no longer only for solutions, however, for Malcolm's fact, his voice, his message, the one they will have attempted to silence however could not erase completely. She reportedly holds the keys to a digital archive left at the back of Via Malcolm, full of documents, notes, and personal voice recordings. What is internal may want to alternate the whole thing. And now the sector is looking. No longer because the media is doing their process, however due to the fact you are, the fans, the reality seekers, the believers in justice. Malcolm-Jamal Warner didn't die from drowning. He was drowned with the aid of a machine that punishes truth-tellers. He as soon as stated in an interview, I've visible an excessive amount of. I've stored quiet too lengthy. I simply want to be sincere now. And maybe that honesty was the closing factor certain humans wanted. However, here's the thing. His voice would not prevent because he is long gone. It grows louder via Pamela, through the lovers, and through structures like this one. If this tale moved you, if you agree with Malcolm deserves justice, then help us preserve the pressure on. Like this video to reveal aid. Comment underneath. Do you consider his demise became a coincidence or something a ways greater sinister? Join the channel so you do not pass over our next deep dive. We are following the trail. Share this video with each person who loved Malcolm, who watched the Cosby display, and who merits to recognize the truth. This isn't always the cease. That is simply the start.